Am I audible and visible? Kindly confirm it in the group. Let us resume with occlusion now. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pratyusha. Thank you, Akshay. Okay, let us start occlusion. Occlusion has been derived from the Latin word occlusio. The word occlusio means an act of closure. So basically, in layman language, it defines the relationship the maxillary as well as mandibular teeth when they are in contact. Now, this contact between the teeth can be seen either in function or in parafunction as well. Okay, so this basically defines the relationship between the maxillary and the mandibular teeth in contact. So this contact can be made either at the time of function or during parafunction. So this relationship basically it's a complex mechanism that is a summative. All the different factors, the teeth, the supporting structures, the surrounding musculature, as well as the joint, the soft tissue which are surrounding the teeth, they are acting together and they are all primarily responsible for maintaining this relationship. So if anything goes wrong, then this relationship can be disturbed. So how does this occlusion, the relationship is developed? This relationship develops in 4 different phases and it changes as the dentition changes. So the very first relationship, uh, the entire development of the occlusion, it has been divided into 4 phases. That is the first phase, which is seen even before the eruption of the teeth. So that is why it is called as predentate period. This is seen in around 0 to 6 months. Then, with the eruption of the first deciduous tooth, the deciduous dentition starts. Then the mixed dentition starts, and ultimately, what we have right now is permanent dentition. So, how the relationship changes from one phase to another, and what is the exact relationship, what is considered normal, that we will discuss in this session. So, first is pre-dentate period, which is also called as gum pad stage. Pre-dentate because this is seen before the eruption of the teeth. So during this, in an oral cavity of the newborn, there are no new teeth. In the oral cavity of the newborn, no teeth are seen till the first 6 months of age. So at that time, how do we determine the relationship between the maxilla and the mandible? So there is a thickened structured, a thick, fibrous, firm band is seen. We call that as gum pad in either of the arches, the maxilla as well as the mandible. So that is why it is called as gum pad stage. Now this is horseshoe shaped in maxilla and it is U shaped. It is slightly more flattened in U shaped in mandible. Now in this gum pad basically it is just like a thickened band which is present in either of the arches. Now it is separated in maxilla from palate as well as in the mandible it is separated from the floor of the mouth by a gingival groove. Okay, so gingival groove basically separates this gum pad from the palate as well as from the floor of the mouth. Okay, that groove is called as gingival groove, that is acting as a partition. And this entire gum pad, throughout its length, it has been divided into 2 segments, the buccal segment and the lingual segment. So this groove, which is dividing the buccal and the lingual part, this is called as uh, interdental groove, which divides the gum pad into the buccal half as well as the lingual half. And throughout the length of this gum pad, there are 10 transverse grooves which are seen. So these transverse grooves, basically this interdental or dental groove के अलावा, that was running in a longitudinal direction, but this is transverse groove which is running in transverse directions. It divides the gum pad into 10 different segments. Okay, wherein each segment from this, in future the deciduous tooth is going to erupt. So one such transverse groove which is present between the, let us say this is incisor, canine, first molar, second molar. So the transverse groove which is incisor 1, incisor 2, seen between canine and the first molar is called as lateral sulcus. Okay, the transverse groove which is seen between the canine and the first molar, this is more prominent, this is called as lateral sulcus. So we compare this lateral sulcus of maxilla with mandible, ki how much the mandible is anteriorly placed or posteriorly placed. So we use this lateral sulcus as the reference. This lateral sulcus is seen in between the canine position, the future canine, as well as the first molar position. Now, what is the relationship seen in this stage? The characteristic findings is that these gum pads, they do not contact with each other in the anterior region. So that means this develops as an anterior open bite. आगे की तरफ contact होता ही नहीं है. When the child closes his mouth, the only contact which is made is at the future first molar position. उसके अलावा और कहीं पर contact नहीं है. So that means anteriorly there is no contact. So this is called as anterior open bite. Why this space has been kept open? So that this space helps or it enables the child so that he can suckle. So this enables suckling, it helps in breastfeeding. Okay, so that the proper position is developed between the nipple and the oral cavity, so that once the tongue presses upon the nipples, the negative pressure is created and then the milk oozes out. So basically this helps in suckling or breastfeeding. Anterior open bite is something which is considered normal in gum pad stage. But in remaining of the stages, as the teeth erupts, deciduous, mixed or permanent, anterior open bite should not be seen. So if we see anterior open bite in permanent dentition, that is considered as one of the malocclusion. Okay. So this is an important point to be remembered. Now next is deciduous dentition. We know that deciduous dentition, it begins at 6 months of age with the eruption of mandibular central incisor. This is the first deciduous tooth to be erupted. And how many deciduous tooth do we have? We have 10 in each arch. So what is the relationship? What are the characteristics of the maxillary deciduous teeth with the mandibular deciduous teeth? First of all, in general, these deciduous teeth, they are spaced out. So there are spacing being present between the teeth. That is called as physiological spaces. These are considered as a type of developmental spaces. Okay, so in general, there are no tight contacts as the deciduous teeth erupt. As more and more jaw size increases, these teeth are being getting replaced by the permanent, then the actual contacts develop between these teeth. So these developmental spaces or physiological spaces, if we take the sum total in maxilla, they are around 0 to 8 millimeter. 0 means in child there can be no interdental space also. जरूरी नहीं है कि सब में हो. Okay, it is seen in 75% of the individuals, not in all the individuals. Whereas in mandible, it is slightly less. It is around 0 to 7 millimeters. What is the function? What is the role of these spaces? Basically, these spaces, they are used or they are closed when permanent teeth erupt. Okay, now these permanent teeth which are going to erupt, which are going to replace the deciduous teeth, they are larger in size. तो उनको ज्यादा जगह चाहिए, deciduous teeth को जो replace कर रहे हैं वो बड़े दांत replace कर रहे हैं. So how that space is created? That space is created by closing of these developmental spaces. Okay, so if you look at the picture, other than the developmental spaces, there are some additional spaces which are present distal to mandibular canine. That is, it is seen between mandibular canine and first molar in mandible, whereas mesial to maxillary canine. That is, it is seen between maxillary canine and lateral incisor. These spaces are additional to generalized spaces, and these spaces canine के relation में, look at this, in maxilla they are present mesial to the canine, whereas in mandible they are present distal to the canine. So these spaces are called as primate spaces, anthropoid spaces, or simian spaces, because in these primates or anthropoids, they are normally present in permanent dentition. लेकिन humans में, as we have evolved from our ancestors, from primates, from simians, we have evolved now. So our permanent teeth do not have these spaces, but deciduous teeth still have. Okay, so these spaces, if they are seen in the permanent dentition of humans, it is considered as malocclusion. But for deciduous teeth, it is an important aspect. And these are seen in addition to generalized physiological or developmental spaces. So since they are seen in relation to canine, they are specifically their function, they are being used up for establishing canine relationship. Okay, ideal canine relationship what we considered is class 1 canine relationship. क्योंकि कैनाइन के रिलेशन में, तो ये कैनाइन की ओरिएंटेशन में मैक्सिलरी कैनाइन और मैंडिबुलर कैनाइन का आपस में क्लास 1 रिलेशनशिप रहे, इसलिए ये स्पेसेस का होना जरूरी है. Okay? Now, what is the relationship between the deciduous incisors? In general, in a newly erupted deciduous incisors, the maxillary incisors, they almost completely overlap the mandibular incisor. Okay, so this type of vertical overlap, when there is increased overbite, this is called as deep bite. This is seen in initial stages of deciduous dentition. As the jawbone increases in size, the height increases, then this overlap, this vertical overlap between the maxillary and the mandibular teeth, this is called as overbite. When the overbite is more than the normal, we call that as deep bite, such that they're completely covering. In this case, it appears as if the patient is devoid, the individual is devoid of mandibular incisors, because they are completely overlapped by maxillary incisors. But as and when the mandible height increases, the growth takes place, this overlap decreases. This is the relationship between the incisors. And in relation to molars, for studying the molar relationship in deciduous dentition, we take the reference, that is a fixed base is taken as a reference, that is the distal surface of deciduous maxillary second molar. Since this is fixed with the rest of the skull, maxilla is immovable, mandible is movable. So we compare, what do we compare? We compare the distal surface of the deciduous mandibular second molar with the distal surface. इसको किससे कंपेयर कर रहे हैं हम? एक रेफरेंस लाइन से. So maxilla का second molar का जो distal surface है, that is taken as a reference line. In relation to this, if the mandibular second molar distal surface is in line, is in the same plane, then we will call this as a flush terminal plane. So this reference line, we are calling these reference lines as terminal planes. These we are call them as, क्योंकि ये सबसे distal most part है, distal most part of the maxillary tooth with the distalmost part of the mandibular tooth have been compared. So these are called as terminal planes. If they are in the same line, we will call that as flush terminal plane. So three kinds of relationship can be seen. First is flush terminal plane, wherein they are in the same line. They are in the same plane. So with this, we can get an inference that majority of the cases, once the more and more growth will take place, they will establish class 1 Engels molar relationship in permanent dentition. Okay, when the deciduous dentition will be replaced by permanent dentition, if they have a flush terminal plane in deciduous dentition, more chances that they will develop class 1 and less chances, 54% probability that they will develop class 2 Engels molar relationship. These are just the probable figures. It is not definite, just that it was been carried out in 1000 samples. So 560 people showed class 1 in permanent dentition, 440 people showed class 2 in uh, class 2 molar relationship in permanent dentition. So probabilities we can get seeing the occlusal relationship between the deciduous molars. Similarly, if the mandible is more prognathic, we will say it has mesial terminal plane. This is more mesially placed with respect to this reference line. Mandible आगे की तरफ है like this. So there is a great probability that the growth of the maxilla and mandible takes place in such a proportion that it will establish class 1 angle molar relationship. Lesser chances that it will go into class 3 अगर ये growth पूरा नहीं हुआ, proportion में नहीं हुआ, mandible आगे ही रह गया. So when mandible is prognathic, what type of angle relationship do we have? We have class 3 angles molar relationship. Okay, and the less probability is the distal terminal plane when the distal surface is placed distal with respect to the distal surface of maxillary second molar. So these names, remember, mesial step, distal step, they are named according to the position of mandibular second molar. ठीक है, अगर मैंडिबुलर सेकंड मोलर मीजियली प्लेस्ड है तो मीजियल टर्मिनल प्लेन, डिस्टली प्लेस्ड है तो डिस्टल टर्मिनल प्लेन. दिस has got maximum chances to go into class 2 in permanent dentition. So many factors come into action. The multifactorial factor, it is a multifactorial process wherein the differential growth of the maxilla and mandible plays a very important role. जॉ बोन कभी मैक्सिला का ज्यादा हो रहा है, कभी मैंडिबल का कम हो रहा है. ओके, अगर कोई और मालक्लूजन है जिससे कोई ट्रॉमा हो रहा है, मैंडिबल का ग्रोथ रुक रहा है, या कोई ग्रोथ हार्मोन का स्टिमुलेशन ज्यादा हो रहा है, सो मेनी फैक्टर्स दे regulate the differential growth of the jaw bones. So ultimately the relationship, we can just tell the probabilities that distal step terminal plane has got more chance to develop into class 2 angles molar relationship. Now next is mixed dentition stage, that starts with the eruption of the first permanent tooth. This first permanent tooth does not replace any deciduous tooth. So this first permanent tooth, they erupt distal to the teeth which are already present, that is first molar. So we divide the mixed dentition stage into three phases. The first phase, when the significant changes take place, and the second phase. The phase which is seen between first and second is called as intertransitional phase. तो फर्स्ट ट्रांजिशनल फेज, मतलब जब मेजर चेंजेस देखने को मिल रहे हैं, फर्स्ट ट्रांजिशनल फेज, टू इंपॉर्टेंट इवेंट्स विल टेक प्लेस. दैट इज, फर्स्ट इज इरप्शन ऑफ और इमर्जेंस ऑफ फर्स्ट मोलर. Since they are going to erupt in a new place, they are not going to replace any deciduous tooth. And second is replacement, just after few days, replacement of deciduous anteriors by permanent anterior teeth will take place. Second phase is the time period in between 9 to 12 years when the canines and premolars erupt. This phase, probably 8 to 10 years, that is a span of 1 to 2 years when no major significant changes are seen. So this is called as intertransitional phase. So let us take up the first transitional phase. In the first transitional phase, the very first important change that is seen is emergence of transitional phase. So let us take up the first transitional phase. In the first transitional phase, the very first important change that is seen is emergence of permanent molars. So first transitional phase, first thing is eruption or emergence, means one and the same thing, of permanent first molars. These are accessional teeth. They are not going to replace. So where will they are getting their origin from? Distal extension of dental lamina. So distally इनको निकलना है. They will erupt distal to already present deciduous teeth. उनके पीछे distal most area में. So it needs space. So how is that space being created for first molar? So all the teeth, including the molars, they will move towards the center. They will move in the mesial direction. So this is called as early mesial shift. How is that possible? How the teeth, they will move forward? Because they have to create a space distal to them so that permanent first molar can erupt. So this early mesial shift is possible only and only because of physiological spaces. This is compensated by closure of, हमने पहले पढ़ा था कि एक generalized spacing present है deciduous dentition में 0 to 8 in maxilla, 0 to 7 in maxilla. So these are called as physiological spaces. ये हर इंडिविजुअल में नहीं होता, किसी किसी में नहीं भी होता, तो उसमें जब शिफ्ट होगा द शिफ्ट विल टेक प्लेस लेट. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज लेट mesial shift. So late mesial shift is mainly compensated by leeway space of Nance. तो किसी किसी में जब मोलर को अर्ली mesial shift से जगह नहीं मिल रहा तो वो अपनी majority of the space is created later. When is that later? Later is when leeway space is closed. Now question comes, what is this leeway space of Nance? Okay, deciduous canine, deciduous first molar and deciduous second molar, if we take their mesiodistal dimension C plus D plus E, let us say this is X. X is equal to C plus D plus E, means combined mesiodistal dimension of deciduous canine as well as first molar and second molar. This X is far more than Y. What is Y? Y is equal to combined mesiodistal dimension of the teeth which are going to replace them. So what is going to replace canine? It is permanent canine. What is going to replace the deciduous first molar? First premolar plus second premolar. So इनका combined mesiodistal dimension X is greater than, this mesiodistal dimension is lesser than the mesiodistal dimension of the teeth which they are going to replace. तो कुछ जगह वहां पर बच जाएगा, लेकिन ये जगह कब बचेगा? Only and only when canines and premolars will erupt. So that is why this shift will take place later at the time of the eruption of canines and premolars. This is not seen in initial stage. Okay, जो molars को पहले जगह नहीं मिला था, जो crowding हो गया था जिनका, अब they can come into back to their place because of this leeway space of Nance, which is predominantly seen later in life, means at the time of eruption of canines and premolars. So L for leeway, L for late mesial shift. And how much is this space? How much is this difference? In maxilla, it is around 0.9 mm on one side. So total 1.8 mm in the entire maxillary arch. Whereas in mandible, surprisingly, this is more. This is 1.7 mm per side, or total it is 3.4, almost double. Mandible में ज़्यादा क्यों है? If you remember, we had discussed this, that in mandibular molars, their mesiodistal dimension is far greater than their buccolingual dimension. तो leeway space कहाँ से आ रही है? Mesiodistal उससे. So it is just so that you may remember that the mesiodistal dimension, it is more, and these teeth which were present in a mandible, the deciduous teeth, they were more narrower as compared to the teeth which were present in permanent. So the space which is being created by replacement of the teeth is more in mandible as compared to maxilla. Okay, so the relative just for the sake of remembering, remember that the mesiodistal dimension is more, so that is why this mesiodistal space is also more in mandible. Okay, एक्चुअल रीजन क्या था, क्योंकि जो मैंडिबल के दांत हैं दे आर यूजुअली लेस डेवलप्ड एज कंपेयर टू मैक्सिलरी टीथ, सो ऑलरेडी दे आर ऑक्युपाइंग लेस स्पेस, so the teeth which are going to replace, they will also occupy much more less space. So the difference between the space present and the difference between the space required, this difference is more in mandible as compared, because mandibular teeth, they are smaller as compared to maxillary teeth, they are more narrower, इसलिए ये स्पेस ज्यादा है, द डिफरेंस ज्यादा है. ओके, देन द सेकंड मेजर चेंज दैट इज सीन in the first transitional period is replacement of deciduous anteriors by permanent anteriors. अब जो deciduous anteriors थे उनका crown size smaller था, लेकिन permanent anteriors they are larger in size. तो जगह परमानेंट इंटीरियर्स को ज्यादा जगह चाहिए, सो दिस डिफरेंस इन द स्पेस रिक्वायर्ड एज कंपेयर्ड टू द स्पेस विच इज अवेलेबल. स्पेस अवेलेबल कितना होगा? द स्पेस विच इज टेकन बाय द deciduous incisors. So deciduous incisors, when they will exfoliate, they will leave out some space, but this space is not sufficient, so that extra space which is required, this difference is called as incisal liability. कितना जगह और incisors को चाहिए एडजस्ट करने के लिए, this is called as incisal liability. Permanent incisors, they are more wider than deciduous incisors, so the difference in the space which is required as compared to the space which is available, this difference is called as incisal liability. कितना बोझ है स्पेस का, कितना, जैसे we say that Kashmir has become a biggest liability for the Indian government, we do each and everything for them, but still they, in return what do we get? We get stones, but still we cannot leave it, it's part of a country. So we have to adjust the larger incisors here, but we don't have enough space. So how that space is being created, how that compensation is being done, so that process, how to compensate incisal liability, the permanent interiors, this, first of all, this incisal liability, it is more in maxillary arch, that is 7.6 mm, and in mandibular arch it is 6 mm. So itna space chahiye, kam se kam extra space, this much extra space is required, so that the permanent anteriors, they are aligned normally, properly. So how this incisal liability is compensated? सबसे पहले interdental spaces which are usually present, they will contribute. ठीक है. Secondly, since anterior teeth have to be erupted, so the parameter of the arch increases, the intercanine width increases. जो हमारा आर्च है वो इंटरकेनाइन रीजन में ज्यादा ग्रो करेगा, इट विल बिकम मोर ब्रॉडर टू इंक्रीज द इंटरकेनाइन डिस्टेंस. यहीं पर एंटीरियर्स ने आना है. और अगर ये कुछ भी नहीं होता तो दे व्हाट डू दे डू अ कॉम्प्रोमाइज. परमानेंट एंटीरियर्स व्हाट डू दे अलाइन देमसेल्व्स मोर लेबियली, इन मोर लेबियल इंक्लिनेशन. वो कहते हैं हम बाहर की तरफ बेंड होके खड़े हो जाते हैं, भैया जगह तो पहले ही नहीं है. when they will be inclined in more labial inclination, that means they are increasing the perimeter of the arch. जितना बाहर की तरफ होंगे उतना पेरीमीटर बढ़ जाएगा. so वो खुद से ही अपने आप को एडजस्ट कर रहे हैं. by doing this they can compensate for around 2 to 3 mm of space. Okay, so when permanent anterior they are inclined labially, this is called as incisal labiality. So they are aligned in a labial inclination so that they may compensate the incisal liability. Incisal liability and labiality is different term. Labial inclination हो रहा है उनका, क्यों? Because they need more space. So by doing this, they can increase the perimeter of the arch by 2 to 3 mm. So they are inclined more labially, and this width between the intercanine also increases, and there is also some presence of interdental spaces. So all these factors collectively helps in compensating for the incisal liability. Okay. So these are the major changes that are seen during the first transitional phase. Then second transitional phase or intertransitional phase, this is a span period of 1 to 2 years. So no major significant changes are seen in the occlusal relationship. So this is not that very significant. इतना ज़्यादा major changes इसमें देखने को मिलते नहीं हैं. Then the time period comes around 9 to 12 years. That is, so this is not that very significant. इतना ज़्यादा major changes इसमें देखने को मिलते नहीं हैं. Then the time period comes around 9 to 12 years, that is late or second transitional period. Now this is the time when canines, permanent canines and premolars, they will replace the deciduous canines and deciduous molars. So when canines are erupting, this is very crucial. At the time of eruption of canines, we see a self-correcting anomaly, malocclusion develops. A self-correcting malocclusion develops, which is called as ugly duckling stage. Ugly duckling stage. क्या होता है ugly duckling stage? जब canine erupt कर रहे हैं, this is it starts around at the end of 8 years. When canine starts erupting, their crowns, they will first impinge upon the roots of the lateral incisor, then the lateral incisor will impinge upon the roots of the central incisor, such that root के ऊपर pressure पड़ा. So these roots, they have been the pressure is towards the mesial direction. The roots are compressed towards the mesial direction. जब roots center की तरफ bend करेंगे, so their crowns will be deviated distally. So both the central incisors, they will deviate distally. जब दोनों एक दूसरे से दूर चले जाएंगे, so what do you see? You see appearance of midline space, that is called as midline diastema. हमारे permanent dentition में there is no midline diastema, but when canines are erupting, that means from 8 to 12 years of age, if you come across midline diastema, that is absolutely normal. The best part is that it is self correcting. कुछ टाइम के बाद अपने आप ये स्पेस क्लोज हो जाएगा. कैसे हो जाएगा? As the crown moves more and more towards the occlusal plane, now they will exert pressure over the crowns. पहले जो crowns बाहर की तरफ थे, अब उनके ऊपर pressure लगेगा, तो now the crowns, they are moving back to the mesial orientation. So this midline diastema closes as the canines reaches their occlusal plane. So this पहले midline आया diastema और अपने आप खत्म हो गया. So this is called as self-correcting. Often this is asked. A 9-year-old patient complains of a space. A 9-year-old patient has come along with the parents. Parents complains about the spacing present between the incisors. What should be your line of treatment? कौन सा orthodontic treatment दोगे? Finger springs दोगे? Inclined plane दोगे? या कुछ नहीं करोगे? So the best is simply assure the patient and keep under observation कि अगर 12 till the age of 12 years, if the space is not closed, then you may give some appliance. Otherwise, till 12 years, this midline diastema is absolutely normal. So reassure the patient that this will be corrected on its own. Reassurance is given to the patient. Just wait and watch. That's it. Now, what are the characteristics of occlusion in the permanent dentition? So permanent dentition means when all the deciduous teeth, they have been replaced. So from 12 to 13 years we take and beyond. When only permanent teeth are present in the oral cavity, we call this dentition as permanent dentition. Now, in normal, everyone knows what is Engel's relationship. Ideal is considered as class 1 Engel relationship. I'm not going to the details. I'm not going to explain what is class 1, class 2, class 3. I assume and I hope everyone knows. If you still have a doubt, kindly raise a doubt in the group. I will explain in person. Okay, but this is something जो आप बचपन से करते आ रहे हो. आपकी सारी case histories they all begin with class 1, class 2, class 3. Plus the horizontal overlap, we know that the maxillary teeth, the maxillary dentition, it is overlapping the mandibular dentition horizontally. तो उसको हम बोल देंगे overjet, approximately 1 to 2 mm. You may take the figures what your orthodontist gave you or what your prosthodontist gave you. I might be wrong, but horizontal overlap is called as overjet, whereas the one which is seen in the vertical plane, the vertical overlap is called as overbite. So we take this as 2 to 4 mm as normal. These figures, what your prosthodontist sir or what your orthodontist sir tells you, kindly follow that if I'm wrong here. Okay, just that the relationship between the maxilla and mandible is such that the maxillary teeth, they overlaps the mandibular teeth both in the horizontal plane as well as in the vertical plane. Then the compensatory curves or the curves of occlusion, the mandibular teeth both in the horizontal plane as well as in the vertical plane. Then the compensatory curves or the curves of occlusion. So basically there are three curves or compensatory curves of occlusion. The one which is seen, which runs in the anterior-posterior direction, is curve of Spee. Then we have curve of Wilson. And if we combine these two curves three-dimensionally so that it is followed on all the teeth, then what we get is curve of Monson. It is not monsoon, it is Monson. So let us take them one by one. First is curve of Spee. Now this curve of Spee basically is an antero-posterior curve. Means it is running antero-posteriorly, आगे से पीछे, from the tip of the cuspid, that is canine tips. It is traversing the cuspal tips of premolars and molars. And if we extend it further, it may go till the anterior border of mandible. Okay. So this curve we can appreciate when we are viewing at the relationship between the maxilla and mandible from the lateral view. So this is basically appreciated from the lateral view. जब हम side से देख रहे हैं, and the direction of the curve, it is running in antero-posterior direction. Okay. So this say that what is the significance of the curve of Spee? That the lateral pterygoid muscles, they are perpendicular. The action of the lateral pterygoid muscles, the force of direction of the forces which are exerted on the lateral pterygoid muscles, they are perpendicular to this curve of Spee. So alignment of the teeth when you are giving any prosthesis should be made such that the forces which are being produced by the lateral pterygoid muscles, they are perpendicular to the curve of Spee. The second is Wilson curve. Now the Wilson curve is seen when you observe the relationship between the maxillary and the mandibular teeth from front, from the facial view. So this is running sideways. This is running in mediolateral direction. Means from the buccal or the lingual cusp of one side to another side. एक साइड से दूसरी साइड तक जब ये हम ऐसे ड्रॉ करेंगे ट्रिवर्सिंग द कस्प, दिस इज कॉल्ड एज विल्सन्स कर्व. नाउ दिस इज concave in mandible and it is convex in maxilla, and when the teeth are in contact, maxilla or mandible का जब contact होगा, then we will say that this has flattened. Okay. So basically this curve, this said that this is seen in relation to the arrangement of medial pterygoid muscles. The fibers, they are parallel. So this curve should be aligned, the teeth should be aligned, the buccolingual inclination of the teeth should be such that this curve should have this much curvature, that the forces which are exerted on the medial pterygoid muscle are parallel to this curve. Okay. Now, if we extend the curve of Spee and curve of Wilson, covering all the teeth three-dimensionally, as well as this also, if we extend it back to cover three-dimensionally, so we are getting two circles in two dimensions. When we merge this in three dimensions, what will we get? We will get a sphere. This sphere, the radius is 4 inches, and the center of the sphere is present at glabella. Okay, this is the point. So a segment of such sphere which is formed by a union of curve of Spee and curve of Wilson is called as this segment of the sphere. This is called as curve of Monson. So we can say that curve of Monson has resulted by combining curve of Spee with curve of Wilson. Okay. Another concept that was congruent to the concept given by Monson was Bonville triangle. Rather, they said that this formed the foundation for the curve of Monson. What Bonville observed? Bonville observed that the distance from the mesial contact of the mandibular central incisors, this distance between the condyle on either side is equal, as well as the intercondylar distance is also equal. So it is forming an equilateral triangle. Okay, all the three sides are equal. That is intercondylar distance plus the distance of the condyle till the mesial contact of mandibular central incisors. On either side, this A, B, and C, they are forming an equilateral triangle. Okay. More detailed parts, more of this aspect would be dealt in your prosthodontics. What is the clinical implication? What are the mandibular movements? All those things will be dealt in much more detail in occlusion in your prosthodontics lecture. Then we have the different types of cusp. Now these days, these questions, I'm assuming they are in trend and they may come. Two main types of cusp. First is the functional cusp, which are also called as supporting cusp, or we may call them as centric holding cusp or stem cusp. So these functional cusp mainly they are for the maxillary teeth, maxillary posterior teeth. Cusp are seen in the posterior teeth. They are the lingual cusps. Whereas for mandibular posterior teeth, they are the buccal cusp. Okay, so these cusps, when they are collectively, we are calling them as functional cusps because they are primarily responsible for maintaining the vertical dimension of occlusion. Okay, they are the ones that are supporting the vertical dimensions. They are also called as supporting cusp. You are aware of this concept that there is a freeway space that is seen at rest. This freeway space is nothing but the vertical dimension at rest minus the vertical dimension at occlusion. Okay, so basically this vertical dimension at occlusion, this has been established on the basis of these arrangement of the cusp, that is lingual cusp of maxillary posterior teeth and the buccal cusp of mandibular posterior teeth. Now these cusps, they usually, their relationship is cusp fossa relationship, means they will occlude against the fossa of their antagonist. Second most common relationship, what's our relationship? Means posterior teeth. Now these cusps, they usually, their relationship is cusp fossa relationship. Means they will occlude against the fossa of their antagonist tooth. Or second most common relationship what they follow is cusp will align against the marginal ridge. Now this cusp fossa or cusp ridge relationship is seen in the case of functional cusp. Just as a rule of thumb, each maxillary tooth will make contact with two mandibular teeth. What will be those two mandibular teeth? That is mandibular counterpart and one tooth distal to the counterpart. Okay. Vice versa is true for mandibular tooth. That is, each mandibular tooth, it will make contact with its maxillary counterpart and one tooth mesial to the counterpart. For example, maxillary canine will make contact with mandibular canine, that is its counterpart, and one tooth distal to canine will be mandibular first premolar. Similarly, mandibular tooth, if I say mandibular canine, it will make contact with its counterpart, that is maxillary canine, and one tooth mesial, that is maxillary lateral incisor. Now this contact is not entirely on the complete tooth surface. The contact, this is mainly seen in case of functional cusp in relation to the marginal ridges. So when I say that one tooth of mandible will make a contact with the marginal ridge of its counterpart, plus the, in case of marginal ridge, the counterpart, which part will be this? This will be the distal marginal ridge. Whereas the tooth which is distal, it will be the mesial marginal ridge, the two ridges which are closest. Okay. For example, let me show you the chart. For maxillary holding cusp, we say that the lingual cusp of the maxillary premolars as well as the distolingual cusp of maxillary molars, okay, they will contact with the distal marginal ridge of the counterpart, that is the same tooth, and one tooth distal to the counterpart, uska kaun sa part rahega? Mesial marginal ridge. So distal marginal ridge of the same tooth and mesial marginal ridge of the tooth which is distal to the counterpart. Okay. First of all, I have told you that holding cusp or the functional cusp, they will either occlude against a fossa or they will occlude against the marginal ridges. So when they are occluding against the marginal ridges, which two marginal ridges will be involved? The marginal ridge of the same counterpart in case of maxilla and one tooth distal. तो काउंटर पार्ट का कौन सा मार्जिनल रिज हो गया? डिस्टल मार्जिनल रिज. उसके जो पीछे वाला दांत है उसका कौन सा मार्जिनल रिज हो गया? मीजियल मार्जिनल रिज. दिस इज सीन इन मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द मैक्सिलरी होल्डिंग cusp. That is all the lingual cusp of premolars, all the distolingual cusp of maxillary molars. The mesiolingual cusp of maxillary molars, this is something special. The longest cusp in maxillary molar, the sharpest, this will occlude against the fossa of their counterpart. तो fossa में सिर्फ एक ही tooth involved है, only one tooth, whereas in marginal ridges two teeth are involved. Okay. So there are some questions taken from national boards related to maxillary holding cusp. For example, in centric occlusion, the distolingual cusp of the maxillary first molar. So when such question comes, first thing is don't look at the options. First thing is you have to identify which teeth we are talking about, maxillary teeth, which cusp we are talking about, lingual cusp. So you need to identify lingual cusp of the maxillary teeth. Is it functional or non-functional? This is a functional cusp. So what relationship will it will have? It will occlude either against the fossa or against the marginal ridges. So if it is belonging to this category, either the lingual cusp of premolars or the distolingual cusp, then it is the marginal ridges. So here we are talking about distolingual cusp. ठीक है, डिस्टोलिंगुअल कस्प के बारे में पूछ रहा है तो मार्जिनल रिजेस वाले ऑप्शन पे हमें ध्यान देना है. तो कौन सी मार्जिनल रिजेस होंगी? जो काउंटर पार्ट टूथ है, दैट इज मैंडिबुलर फर्स्ट मोलर का तो डिस्टल मार्जिनल रिज, और maxillary the second molar, the tooth which is placed more distal to this, uska mesial marginal ridge. Okay, so the best answer here will be the distal marginal ridge of the mandibular first molar, that is its counterpart, and one tooth which is present to the counterpart, that is the second molar. Second molar का कौन सा part आ जाएगा? Mesial marginal ridge. Okay, so this is the best answer here because it was in relation to the distolingual cusp. अगर इसी क्वेश्चन में मेसियोलिंगुअल कस्प आ जाए, इन द सेंट्रिक occlusion मेसियोलिंगुअल कस्प, दिस इज गोइंग इन द फोसा ऑफ इट्स एंटागोनिस्ट. सो मैक्सिलरी थर्ड मोलर का किस में जाएगा? मैंडिबुलर थर्ड मोलर. So it is occluding against the central fossa of mandibular third molar. Similarly, अगर हम पूछ लें second premolar lingual cusp, this is going to occlude against the marginal ridges. तो maxillary second premolar का जो counterpart है, that is mandibular second premolar, उसका कौन सा ridge? Distal marginal ridge. और one tooth distal to it, so that is mesial marginal ridge of first molar. Okay. This is just a generalized rule I'm telling you to remember. Otherwise, I have shared the charts also, which cusp in centric occlusion will occlude against which surface of the antagonist tooth. If you can remember the chart, रट्टा अगर आपका strong है तो उससे कर लो, rule समझ में आ रहा है तो उससे कर लो. Both options are equally good and equally correct. ठीक है? I find myself remembering the chart difficult, so that is why I split it up. Now for the mandibular holding cusp कौन से थे? Buccal cusps. ठीक है, बक्कल कस्प ऑफ प्रीमोलर्स एंड मोलर्स. तो इसमें जो मीजियोबक्कल कस्प है, फर्स्ट मोलर, सेकंड मोलर, थर्ड मोलर, दे विल अक्लूड अगेंस्ट द मार्जिनल रिजेस. तो इसमें भी मार्जिनल रिजेस वाला वही रूल आएगा, द मीजियल मार्जिनल रिज ऑफ द काउंटर पार्ट बट डिस्टल मार्जिनल रिज ऑफ द टूथ मीजियल टू द काउंटर पार्ट. ठीक है, स्टार्टिंग में आपको बताया था मैंडिबल टूथ किससे कांटेक्ट करेगा? अपने से सेम टूथ से, और एक टूथ उसके मीजियल. तो जो मीजियल वाला टूथ है उसकी तो डिस्टल मार्जिनल रिज होगी, और जो काउंटर पार्ट है उसकी मीजियल मार्जिनल रिज. जो दो रिजेस पास में होंगे, द टू रिजेस व्हिच आर क्लोजेस्ट, दैट विल बी अक्लूडिंग अगेंस्ट द cusp. What is the exception? Distobuccal cusp, it will directly go into the fossa, no confusion. One cusp, one fossa. Distal cusp, this is an additional cusp, this is the fifth cusp, special hai. Distal cusp of mandibular first molar is not seen in any other molar, so this will go into a smaller fossa, that is distal triangular fossa of maxillary first molar. Okay? Mandibular first premolar, this is occluding against the mesial marginal ridge of maxillary first premolar. This is just two exceptions what I am giving you here. One is distal cusp and one is mandibular first premolar का जो buccal cusp है, that will occlude against the mesial marginal ridge. It is not occluding with the distal marginal ridge of canine. Canine में distal marginal ridge होता ही नहीं, सिर्फ हम molars और premolars की बात कर रहे हैं, इसलिए it is not included here. ठीक है, questions related to mandibular holding cusp, the mesiobuccal cusp of the mandibular second molar, it will occlude against the two ridges, mesial marginal ridge of the same tooth, the counterpart, and one tooth mesial to it, उसका कौन सा ridge होगा? Distal marginal ridge. Which tooth is mesial to second molar? The first molar. Right? Distobuccal cusp, this was the exception. Distobuccal cusp is going directly into the fossa. This is also, this had come in your NEET. Distobuccal cusp of mandibular first molar, it will occlude in the central fossa of the maxillary first molar. ठीक है, सेम टूथ, इसमें कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं है, इसमें कोई ridges नहीं है. Then the second type of cusp, which are called as non-functional, non-supporting cusp, these are also called as guiding cusp or shearing cusp. इसके लिए हम याद करने के लिए we can remember bull, that is buccal upper, all the buccal cusps of maxillary posterior teeth plus the lingual cusp of lower of mandibular posterior teeth. So these are more sharper cusps. They are basically, their main function is to guide the mandible during lateral movements. They are the ones which are responsible for sharing of food, इसलिए उनको शेयरिंग कस्प भी बोल देते हैं. दे आर नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल होल्डिंग द सेंट्रिक पोजीशन, स्टेबिलिटी के लिए नहीं है, ये शेयरिंग ऑफ फूड के लिए है. ठीक है, so they are the ones basically, they prevent the undue trauma to the support surrounding structures. So for this, the relationship what that is being observed, either these cusps they will occlude against a groove, that is cusp groove relationship, or cusp embrasure relationship. This embrasure, basically here we are talking about interdental space between the two teeth. ठीक है, एम्ब्रेजर होगा, जहां पर भी एम्ब्रेजर कस्प एम्ब्रेजर रिलेशनशिप होगा वहां पर फिर से दो दांत होंगे. सो मैक्सिलरी टूथ will contact against its counterpart and one tooth distal to counterpart. Mandibular tooth, it will contact the embrasure which is present between its counterpart and one tooth mesial to counterpart. ये वाला रूल embrasure में अप्लाई होगा. ठीक है, कि one tooth is contacting against the embrasure. तो embrasure में दो दांत इन्वॉल्व होंगे, groove में one tooth will be involved. So in case of maxillary guiding cusp, all the buccal cusp, whether it is premolar, molar, they will go into the facial embrasure. So embrasure between the two teeth, which two teeth? Mandibular counterpart and one tooth distal to its counterpart. ठीक है, क्योंकि maxillary है ना, तो maxilla अपने counterpart के साथ and one tooth distal to it. एक्सेप्शन क्या रहेगा? मीजियोबक्कल कस्प, एंगल्स क्लास 1 जब हम लेते हैं, दैट इज बक्कल ग्रूव ऑफ मैंडिबुलर काउंटरपार्ट. वो ग्रूव में जा रहा है, सो जब ग्रूव में जाएगा तो ओनली वन टूथ रिलेशनशिप इज देयर. डिस्टोबक्कल कस्प ऑफ माय फर्स्ट मोलर, इट विल गो इनटू द डिस्टोबक्कल ग्रूव ऑफ मैंडिबुलर फर्स्ट मोलर. These two things we need to remember: mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp of first molar. So if we apply the mesiobuccal cusp of the maxillary third molar, तो mesiobuccal cusp आ गया तो it will go into the buccal groove of its counterpart. तो maxillary third molar का counterpart क्या है? Mandibular third molar. ठीक है. Similarly, mesiobuccal cusp of maxillary first molar, this was an exception. This is, so it will go directly into the buccal groove of its counterpart. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट, मैंडिबुलर गाइडिंग कस्प. अगर मैंडिबुलर गाइडिंग कस्प कौन से हैं? दीज आर लोअर लिंगुअल, दैट मीन्स द लिंगुअल कस्प ऑफ मैंडिबुलर प्रीमोलर्स एंड मैंडिबुलर मोलर्स. So all the lingual cusp, they will go into the lingual embrasure between its counterpart and one tooth mesial to the counterpart. Exception is just the distolingual cusp. जो डिस्टोलिंगुअल कस्प होगा वो मैंडिबुलर मोलर्स का, वो अपने ग्रूव में जाएगा, लिंगुअल ग्रूव ऑफ मैक्सिलरी काउंटरपार्ट. ओके, so the question related to this is the mesiolingual cusp of the mandibular second molar. So this has to go into the lingual embrasure of its counterpart and one tooth mesial. So this is the mesial tooth and this is the same tooth. This is the counterpart. Okay. So if you can remember the rules, or if you are getting confused, खिचड़ी पक गया या नहीं समझ में आ रहा, so you may leave this. You can just simply follow the charts what I have given. अगर आपको चार्ट से याद हो जाता है, कुछ बच्चे डायरेक्टली याद कर लेते हैं, तो it is as simple as that. In this, what you need to remember is the relationship of the first molar and the first premolar. Okay, पूरा चार्ट याद करने का जरूरत नहीं है. These two teeth, they are commonly asked. Okay. Similarly for mandibular posterior teeth, इसमें भी आपको first premolar और first molar के cusp relationships आपको पता होना चाहिए, right? Then we have the Andrew's 6 keys of occlusion. Andrew, the orthodontist, what he did, he studied a sample cast of 120 people, assuming that those people had ideal occlusion. तो उन 120 कास्ट स्पेसिमेंट्स में उसको जो कॉमन फाइंडिंग्स मिली, उसने अपनी उनको कीज ऑफ अक्लूजन बता दिया. सो ही फाउंड दैट 6 कॉमन फाइंडिंग्स इन दोज आइडियल अक्लूजन अकॉर्डिंग टू हिम वर: फर्स्ट की इज द इंटर आर्च रिलेशनशिप. तो बोलते हैं कि इंटर आर्च रिलेशनशिप में इन आइडियल अक्लूजन अकॉर्डिंग टू हिम वर: फर्स्ट की इज द इंटर आर्च रिलेशनशिप. तो बोलते हैं कि इंटर आर्च रिलेशनशिप में इन एंटीरियर टीथ, द मिडलाइन which is present between the maxillary central incisors should coincide with the midline of मैंडिबुलर सेंट्रल इंसाइजर्स, एंटीरियर टीथ का तो ये रिलेशनशिप होना चाहिए मिड लाइन से मिड लाइन, और पोस्टीरियर टीथ में मोलर्स का क्या रिलेशनशिप होना चाहिए, फर्स्ट मोलर शुड फॉलो एंगल क्लास 1 रिलेशनशिप, ठीक है. So this he considered as an ideal inter-arch relationship. That was its first key of occlusion. Second key, he said the mesiodistal crown angulation should be such that when we say that the gingival portion of the long axis should always be distal to its incisal portion. ठीक है, जो ये जो लॉन्ग एक्सिस जा रहा है हमारा मीजोडिस्टल इंक्लिनेशन इस तरह होना चाहिए कि व्हेन वी आर डिवाइडिंग दिस इज द लॉन्ग एक्सिस, सो दिस इज the gingival portion. So gingival portion should always be more distal, more away from the center as compared to this. So maxillary teeth will be inclined like this. Mandibular teeth, they are inclined like this, such that their gingival portion is always more distal to their incisal portion. Okay, this is about mesiodistal crown inclination. Maxillary teeth का inclination हमेशा ऐसे रहेगा, mandibular teeth का inclination हमेशा ऐसे रहेगा, such that their gingival portion is always more distal as compared to their incisal portion, whether it is maxillary or whether it is mandibular teeth. Okay, this was about mesiodistal crown angulation. Third point was about labiolingual. Maxillary teeth, we know that they are more labially inclined, so maxillary teeth, they have positive inclination, they are more labially inclined, whereas mandibular teeth, they have got more negative वो अंदर की तरफ है, all the mandibular teeth, they are inclined lingually, so they have got negative inclination. Positive means labial, this is labiolingual crown inclination. Fourth point, there should be no rotation, teeth negative inclination. Positive means labial, this is labiolingual crown inclination. Fourth point, there should be no rotation, teeth should not be rotated. अगर आपका rotation है तो आपका occlusion ideal नहीं है. So in case of anterior teeth, like in case of central incisors, if central incisors are rotated, since their mesiodistal dimension is more than the buccolingual dimension, so when they are rotated, they will occupy less space. पहले तो वो mesiodistally inclined है, अब वो अगर rotate हो गए तो they are occupying less space. But this is opposite for premolars and maxillary molars. इसमें क्या हो जाएगा, they will occupy more space when they are rotated. Okay. Plus there should be no spacing present, there should be presence of tight contacts. अगर आपके दांतों में permanent dentition में spacing है, deciduous में हो तो normal है, permanent में that means that is not an ideal occlusion. Plus the curve of P, the curvature which is formed, it should have a depth of around 1.5 millimeters at the level of mandibular second premolar. Okay, this is considered ideal, 1.5 millimeter at the level of mandibular second premolar. This much should be the curvature of curve of P. So the molars should be aligned such that this curve of P has a depth of 1.5 millimeter at mandibular second premolar. So if any set of teeth has got these 6 features, then we'll say that the teeth, they are having an ideal occlusion. So this completes the Andrews 6 keys of occlusion as well as the occlusion chapter plus our syllabus as well. So that is the end. So early mesial shift affects the alignment of anteriors and molars or only for molars. So it is only for molars. Gum pads also have a marked overjet. Yes, gum pads also have marked overjet. Yes, जो हमारा maxilla और mandible का relation है अक्सर वो gum pad की stage से develop हो जाता है. वो deciduous में, mixed में, permanent में always maxilla is overlapping the mandible. ठीक है? तो as Akshar has raised a very valid query, the lateral sulcus in gum pad stage, you may add this. In gum pad stage, the lateral sulcus of maxilla, it is placed more anterior as compared to the lateral sulcus of mandible. This is the relationship. So horizontally, it is overlapping the mandibular gum pad all and all throughout. ठीक है, horizontal overlap gum pad stage से ही establish हो जाता है and it continues deciduous, mixed as well as in permanent dentition. So with this, we come to an end for DA-DH session. Our 6 days journey had ended, but your journey has begun from today. So there are few take-home messages. आज नहीं पढ़ना, just relax. Go through the recordings again fresh tomorrow morning. If you have not been able to cope up with the live sessions, kindly go through the recorded sessions right now. Kindly devote your time right now. I know the other subjects are also starting from the next week. It is difficult to cover both the subjects together, but now seeing the scarcity of time, very little time is left for your next NEET. So it's always better to time management will play a very important role. So you have to devote an extra effort now. What will differentiate between a selection and non-selection is that extra effort. जो आप साथ साथ नहीं कर पाए, this is the time, kindly cover it now. जो अब रह जाएगा वो लास्ट तक भी रह जाएगा. So kindly go through the recordings, the lecture first, then through your notes, then the study material what we have provided, and then start solving the questions. If you face any doubts, kindly click a photograph and put it in the group, not in a personal window. सब में हम शेयर करेंगे, सबका नॉलेज बढ़ेगा. From Monday onwards, I will be responding to majority of the questions in the group itself. Then, if time persists, I will also make up a video recording for the important questions, but do not rely that a video recording will come. Always check your doubt discussion groups also. I will be responding from Monday in your oral path group also. Many doubts are still pending in oral path also. So I will be reverting in the group. That will be my first priority, and the second priority will be the recorded session for the doubts. Okay. So in case you have missed any concept which is not very clear, there is any confusion, कुछ book में अलग दिया है, कुछ teacher ने class में अलग में बताया था, कुछ भी ऐसा discrepancy है, you are open to share it in the group and start preparing from right now. Each and every subject is important. इसका syllabus DADH का as compared to other subjects is less bulky, but it is equally important. So एक subject at least अगर आपका पुराना रह गया तो कोई बात नहीं, at least अब से pace पकड़ लो और don't, because once you start leaving things behind, it will keep on lagging one over the other, one over the other. तो last में आगे सब खिचड़ी बन जाएगा. तो जितना doubts अब clear हो जाएं, that is best, so that in the last you get time only to revise and revise. That is the key. एक concept को एक बार नहीं समझ में आया, दो बार, तीन बार, it's always better to read same thing 4 times rather than reading 4 different things one time. So the key is revision. ज़्यादा टेढ़ी मेढ़ी चीज़ों में दिमाग खराब नहीं करना. What majority of the papers, 75 to 80% of the paper, always it is from the old questions, repeated questions. हर बारी इतना नया नहीं बना सकते. So your reproducibility of the facts you already know is the one and the most important determining factor for your selection. जो चीज आपने पढ़ा, अगर आपने वही गलत कर दिया एग्जाम में, देन यू आर आउट ऑफ द सिलेबस. जो आपने नहीं पढ़ा वो किसी और ने भी नहीं पढ़ा. डोंट बॉदर. कोई भी नया क्वेश्चन आएगा वो सबके लिए नया है, उसके लिए ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देना. जो पुराने क्वेश्चंस हैं उस पर ज्यादा ध्यान देना है. सिलेक्शन वही क्वेश्चंस कराएंगे कि आपकी एक्यूरेसी पुराने क्वेश्चंस में कितनी है, और उसका एक ही और एक सोल्यूशन है, रिवीजन. ठीक है, इधर उधर के कंसेप्ट्स आपको तंग करने के लिए, बताने के लिए कि आपकी तैयारी अभी अप टू द मार्क नहीं है, टेढ़े मेढ़े क्वेश्चंस दुनिया भर की जगह आपको मिल जाएंगे. सो डोंट बॉदर. व्हाट वाज बेसिक एंड व्हाट वाज रिक्वायर्ड, वी हैव डिस्कस्ड दैट इन प्लेंटी. सो काइंडली फोकस ऑन दैट. सिलेक्टिव रीडिंग इज रिक्वायर्ड. मेहनत तो एक गधा भी कर लेता है, बट सिलेक्टिव रीडिंग इज रिक्वायर्ड एट दिस टाइम. सो यूटिलाइज योर टाइम इफेक्टिवली. So wish you all the very best. God bless you. Be in touch. We are, though online face-to-face session abhi nahi hoga, but through recorded sessions, through the groups, we will be with you till the end. Okay. So God bless you one and all. It was 6 days. You have been very interactive, very cooperative. Thank you. God bless you.